Is recognized for a 4-minute opening speech. My proposal is to eliminate DOMA, which is the Defense of Marriage Act. DOMA has 3 parts.
Author, please state your name and delegation.
Weaver, Mississippi. I guess I'm just nervous. There are a lot of people. Okay, so there are 3 parts to DOMA: the title, the Defense of Marriage Act. The second part which states can choose whether or not they would like to implement it in their states. And then the third part which defines marriage between a man and a woman. I want to get rid of DOMA and implement something I made up called the Anti-Discriminatory Marriage Act, or ADMA. It states that no 2 persons shall be denied a marriage based upon race, nationality, religion, or sexual orientation. And with that, I yield the remainder of my time to my summation.
Thank you, Delegate. You've yielded 3 minutes and 30 seconds to your summation. The time has come for non-debatable technical questions. We'll have 4 minutes of them. Chair recognizes Delaware, South Carolina, New Mexico, Texas, Georgia, California, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, UN, Massachusetts, Louisiana, Washington, and D.C. The undercurrent will cease.
Laura McCray, Delaware Delegation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Would every state have to adopt this act that you're proposing?
Well, it's a national act, so it would apply to all states.
Thank you.
Taylor Dyersor, representing the state of Louisiana. And just to clarify, Author, this means that in every single state, anybody would be able to have the right of marriage, right?
Any 2 people, yes.
2 people. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Laura Margaret Burbach, Georgia Delegation. With this proposal, do you intend for religious organizations to retain the right to refuse to marry people that go against their religious doctrine?
The church is a private entity, so the government cannot.
Thank you, Author. San Fabio, Washington State. Will this affect civil unions?
My proposal only deals with marriage.
Haley Adams, California Delegation. Is the current administration currently prosecuting states for not following DOMA?
Not that I'm aware of, no, because states can opt in or out of it.
Thank you, Author.
Cameron McVeigh, the Republican of Texas. Under what constitutional provision does the federal government have the
That is
ability to
debatable.
Luis Canonico, South Carolina. Delegate, will the marriages allowed by this act apply across states?
Yes, it's actually taking marriage out of
Thank
states.
you, Author.
Sarah Larry, Massachusetts Delegation. What is the difference between a civil union and a marriage?
A marriage, you have to receive a marriage license and you receive federal benefits from it.
Thank you.
Ferris, Oklahoma. Will states have the same right to opt out of your proposal, just like DOMA?
No.
Thank you.
More questions. Chair recognizes Fields, McDonald, Wiley, Snyder, Lannister, Sherrod, Ojeda, Conboy, Wheeler, and Jackson.
John Fields, Republican of Texas. Just to be clear, this proposal will be forcing all states to recognize any sort of marriage.
Any marriage between 2 people, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, McDonald, Arizona. Could you please report for me the text of the full faith and credit clause of the U.S. Constitution?
I'll answer that in my closing summation.
Thank you.
Colin Conboy, California Delegation. You said that it would recognize any marriage between 2 people. Would that include people of any age?
No, states have individual
Thank you,
laws.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Christine Wiley, and I am from Florida. How many states currently allow gay marriage?
Currently 6, but
Thank you, Author. Thank you.
Spencer Tire, Commonwealth of Virginia. Based on this proposal, will religions such as Latter-day Saints be able to perform polygamy?
No, because it's between 2 people.
Thank you, Author.
Thank you, Edward True, Maine Delegation. Does your proposal allow for a marriage between a man and an animal or a man and a dead body, such as Netflix?
It says 2 persons, so no.
Thank you, Heather Nova Mexico. For clarification reasons, this proposal will not be infringing on the church's marriages.
The church does not have to marry 2 people because it's a private entity.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, Ray Cornwell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Delegation. How many states are currently implementing DOMA?
I'm not aware of that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Coletti, Shanklin, Shamel, Mearl, and Smith. And also Lee.
Thank you, David Coletti, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. If this is passed, does that mean that all men and women have to get married to each other?
That's debatable. No. Please don't answer it if it's debatable.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Colin Smith, and I am from Florida. The states that do actually accept marriages of 2 persons of the same sex, is that, if you go to, let's say, a state that doesn't, do they accept that marriage as, a legal binding?
No.
No.
Shanklin, Georgia. Under this proposal, would the federal benefits remain the same under DOMA?
Yes.
Jack Morrell, Louisiana Delegation. Can the author list some example of federal benefits that a marriage has that a civil union does not?
Joint mortgage, rights to visit a loved one in the hospital if they're sick.
Thank you.
Josh Shamel, South Carolina. Does this mean the state cannot regulate marriages between blood relatives, such as siblings?
Well, for instance, Arkansas, it's legal to marry your
Thank
brother.
you, delegates. And with that, the time for non-debatable technical questions has elapsed, and the chair will now recognize the con intent speaker. You may begin when ready. Again, 3 minutes.
Gibson, Republic of Texas. I'd like to open by congratulating the proposal for making it this far. It's quite an accomplishment. On September 21st, 1996, the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, was signed into law by then-President Bill Clinton. But what does the Defense of Marriage Act do? DOMA is a federal law to give states the right to refuse recognition of same-sex marriages approved by another state. It also defined marriage as a union between one woman and one man for the purposes of federal law. For clarification, I would like to add that DOMA's allowance for states not having to recognize same-sex marriages does not violate the Full Faith and Credits Clause, because in the second half of Article 4, Section 1 of the Full Faith and Credits Clause, Congress can, quote, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be approved, and the effect thereof, quote, close, affording Congress latitude on that issue. For the legislative branch to mandate any kind of marriage at the federal level, it would require a constitutional amendment. Take note, DOMA does not mandate marriage, it simply exempts states from having to recognize certain marriages from other states. This proposal does not contain a constitutional amendment, so passing the Anti-Discrimination Marriage Act, also known as the ADMA, is non sequitur, as it would be impotent due to the lack of federal jurisdiction relating to mandating marriage to all 50 states, without ratification by 2/3 of both houses and 3/4 of the states as required for passage of a constitutional amendment. This proposal beckons for acceptance on the premise that it will end marriage discrimination. The ADMA provides that discrimination based on age, religion, nationality, or sexual orientation will cease. But what of age discrimination? What if a 14-year-old wants to marry an adult? If we presuppose that everyone has a right to love, hence a right to marriage, where do we draw the line? Because every law makes distinctions. There is nothing unjustly discriminatory in marriage laws' reliance on genuinely relevant distinctions. Even if we made same-sex marriages commensurate with opposite-sex marriages, we would still be discriminating against those seeking temporary, polygynous, or polyandrous relationships. If marriage was largely redefined, believing what every human society once believed about marriage will increasingly be regarded as evidence of malice, prejudice, or injustice. And finally, delegates, what I find most disturbing is that in line 25, the proposal states, quote, any two citizens of the United States shall be allowed to marry. Quote close. Now don't get me wrong, but that would include incest in all 50 states. And with that, I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you, delegates. We are now in line for a pro-intent speaker. You are please, thank you. You are now recognized for your pro-intent speech. You have 2 minutes.
Paul Yang of the Model United Nations delegation. Thank you, Madam Chair. All you need is love. Love is all you need. But today in America, that is not true. Because if Adam wanted to visit Steve in the hospital, and Steve was undergoing chemotherapy for his cancer, Adam would not have sick leave to visit him. If Adam wanted to visit Eve, he would be allowed to visit Eve, because the federal laws allow for married couples to visit their spouses in the hospital and to take care of them when they're sick. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Homosexual couples cannot file joint tax returns. They cannot pass their Social Security on to their partner after they die. And corporations cannot tax deduct contributions made to the gay partner's health care. In over 1,138 different clauses, does the federal government use the definition of marriage in some way to provide benefits? In over 100 different types of automatic protections are given to those who are married. We cannot say that marriage is defined in a specific way when it denies someone something. We do not deny people rights and benefits on the basis of race, gender, age, and we cannot deny to them on the basis of the creed that they can love whom they like. For instance, the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled that the institution of civil unions and denying people the right to marriage when they're homosexual is inherently disequal. I would like to call to mind some people that were denied the right of marriage in the past. In the post-bellum South, blacks were often denied marriage in state constitutions. Furthermore, marriages in between different races were also discouraged under the Jim Crow South. Today we know that that was a flaw and we discriminated wrongly. Because we have to remember, it is necessary and proper and promotes the general welfare when we allow people to get rights, when we allow them to get everything they need. Because I think I'm asking something simple. I think you'll understand. All Adam wants to do is be able to hold Steve's hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot.
remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you, Elliot. Oh, please. Thank you. We are now in line for Con-Pro debate. The chair will recognize the first con speaker. Is there anyone who has not spoken in plenary? Anyone who has not spoken in plenary or GA? The chair recognizes Leary of Massachusetts.
Sarah Leary of Massachusetts. I reserve my right to yield the remainder of my time to BD of Florida.
That is your right.
I would like to make the point that marriage is specifically in the church. All other unions are considered a civil union. Otherwise, I would like to remind everybody that of something called the separation of church and state. And so this is saying marriage, we can't do anything on marriage because that's in the church. Thank you, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and previous delegate. My name is John Baden. I am from Florida. The author yields to a series of questions.
Does the author yield? Yes.
Does this will this regulate blood relative marriages?
Well, for instance, in Arkansas, it's illegal to marry your brother. I'm sorry, in Arkansas
Yes,
it's not
but you said
illegal,
that
but in
every-
Mississippi it is.
I'm
Let
sorry,
me finish, thank you.
No, you
so
do not
the
have
state
the right
has
to
agreed
finish.
to
I have the right to ask
delegates.
questions.
Delegates, the time is paused. Be respectful of one another. You may proceed.
Okay, my question is this. If all states are mandated to let any two persons marry, would that not make it so that blood relatives can marry in all states?
This only deals with race, nationality, sexual orientation, or religion. Incest is none of those.
Okay, thank you. What about persons under the age of 18 that
You
don't
do
have
that
their parents' consent?
You can currently do that with parental consent, but this does not deal with that because states have laws. All states, 18 and over, can get married.
But the federal government recognizes people under the age of 18 as person, which is a legal term, which would mean that it would apply to all persons as
No,
stated in the proposal.
okay, this proposal does not deal with age. It's
But
the
your
four things
proposal
that-
says that it applies to all persons.
with the four things that I've specified.
All right, I yield my time.
13 seconds. Oh, you yield your time to the floor. We are now in line for a pro speaker. Is there anyone who has not spoken in plenary? Anyone who has spoken in neither plenary nor GA? Chair recognizes Minnesota in the very back.
Rebecca Needham of Minnesota. I reserve my right to yield the remaining of my time to Howard, Minnesota.
That is your right.
Marriage is an issue that has divided this nation. No longer shall we deny fellow Americans the basic right to marry. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law to all citizens, and now is the time we correct this gross infringement on American rights. It is not the government's place to inject morality and religious bias into laws, which is really what this boils down to. Don't like same-sex marriage? Don't get one. I yield my remaining time to Howard, Minnesota.
A minute and 25.
Thank you, previous delegate. Howard, Minnesota. Thank you as well, Madam Chair. The fact is that we have lived with a law which denies a legal and financial right to couples, both homosexual and lesbian. Gay and lesbian couples that are denied this right, basically when you deny a legal or financial right to people, it's basically not just a religious sacrament, it becomes a right which they are entitled to, and denying that is an outrage in this American day. We are on a precipice, And as a country, if we allow states which have not yet decided if they're going to derive their laws from religion or from a text which is not our Constitution, we cannot let them make laws which deny rights based on both these things. If you do not support gay and lesbian couples and their right to vote, you do not represent the America which I think represents equality. You do not support the continuation of healthy marriages, and you do not support the men and women who are both homosexual and overseas serving our military, throwing down their lives for you, and they would come home and you would deny them rights, and you would say they can't love who they love, and you would treat them as second-class citizens, even though they sacrificed their lives for you. Do your duty as an American and stand up for the rights of everyone, not just you and the person you want to call your wife, but for Adam.
Thank you, delegates. Your time
Steve.
has elapsed, and we will now recognize a con speaker from the floor. Chair recognizes Washington.
In Chicano, Washington delegation, I reserve the right to limit my time to delegate from Texas.
That is your right.
I would like to motion to extend debate by 2 rounds.
That is in order. Is there a second? Second. The motion before this assembly is whether or not to extend debate by 2 rounds. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. This motion does carry. Debate will be extended by 2 rounds.
I would like to yield the remainder of my time to the delegate from Texas.
I'm sorry, delegate, you did not reserve the right to speak or yield your time. Oh, I'm sorry, you did. You can speak. You can speak. I apologize.
Jeremiah Bannister, Republic of Texas. Delegates, today I urge you to look past the morality of the situation. Whether or not we support homosexual marriage is not related to the issue at hand. This proposal will not pass because this requires a constitutional amendment. The feasibility of this proposal is 0. Regardless of whether or not we pass this, and regardless of your beliefs on homosexual marriages, if this is passed, nothing will happen. Furthermore, this does not promote the general welfare. By leaving room for incest, we will have a large spike in the abnormalities and mental retardations that occur in our children. This proposal does not have the welfare of America at hand, and I would like to remind you, once again, please consider this apart from your political views. Regardless of your views on homosexual marriage, even if this bill is passed, or this proposal is passed, nothing will happen. Thank you.
We are now in order for a pro speaker. Anyone who has not spoken in plenary. Chair recognizes California.
I reserve the right to make a motion after I speak.
That's your right.
Thank you. Spencer Perry from
Please state your name and delegation.
Spencer Perry from the California delegation. Before the passage of Proposition 8 in California, while I was watching the Colbert Report or Breaking Bad, more often than not, I would see campaign ads on my television screen. Campaign ads that said, gays are harmful to children. Gays can't raise children as well as straight couples. That gays dilute the institution of marriage. I am sick and I am tired to hear that my parents hurt kids' morals. That they haven't raised me right. That they can't get married. My moms are both civil servants. They work in government. They work to provide health and safety to children. My moms have made me the best person I could be, an A student and a youth governor of California. My moms love each other far more than some of the most abusive heterosexual couples in America, and they deserve the right to be married. And it's not just my family, but for decades, gays have been bullied, they've been beaten, and they've been killed. And that hate is protected by their government, because we, as a government, don't recognize their rights as equal. We don't say that they're equal. What we say is that you're different, you're a minority, and you don't get the same rights as us. Stop the hate, stop the discrimination, stop the violence, stop the abuse of rights, and let all Americans be married equally. Thank you, and I would like to make a motion.
That is your right.
I would like to make a motion to have an amendment heard on the table.
Is there amendment?
Not by the speaker, no.
I'm sorry, that is out of order.
I apologize. Thank you so much.
We will now entertain a con speaker. Anyone who has not spoken in plenary. Chair recognizes Wisconsin.
Thank you, Chair. Angelic Pequinos, Wisconsin. I reserve my right to yield the remainder of my time to, the delegate from Mississippi.
That is your right.
Michigan, excuse me. Okay, I want to start by saying that I'm in full support of gay marriage, and I'm not speaking against the construct of it. I'm not speaking against the concept of it. I'm speaking against the way that that this proposal implements it. This proposal does not actually expressly say that it enables same-sex couples to get married. It never specifies sex or gender as a criteria to deny marriage, and sexual orientation does not necessarily imply that same-sex couples can get married. I just wanted to point this out to all of you that it kind of doesn't actually accomplish what we all would like to see it accomplish. While I'm up here, I do want to address some points about the religious implications of marriage. It's not a religious thing. It used to be. Now it's not. I'm sorry, but it's a legal thing. It's recognized by states. I'd also like to point out the age thing. Marriage is a legally binding contract. You sign it. You cannot enter into a legally binding contract until you turn 18 without parental consent. Both of those are cleared up. Furthermore, there are state laws that dictate specifics, which are also still in effect. It's basically, to summarize, I believe this proposal has some logistical issues, but I fully support the idea. With that, I yield my time to the other delegate.
40 seconds.
Melissa Padley, Michigan delegation. I respect and love all of you way too much for you to think that I am homophobic, so let me just say right away that I completely support gay marriage, and I am in full support of the LGBT community, and it is for that reason that I do not like this proposal. I think that mandating that all states must allow gay marriage will create a backlash against the LGBT community that would be inconceivable, in the same way that Roe v. Wade had a backlash on the feminist movement. And I just don't want to see that happen for gay rights and for how far that will get in our country. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, delegate. We are now in line for a pro speaker. Chair recognizes New Jersey in the back. You, yeah. Make haste, delegate.
Shyamala Krishna from New Jersey. Thank you, Madam Chair. I reserve my right to yield. I made my time to delegate Shapati from New Jersey.
That is your right.
First of all, to clear up some technical issues and all the logistical issues with this proposal, let me emphasize the key word, proposal. This is not legislation, this is a proposal. Beyond that, civil rights are not states' rights. Since when do we leave the decision up to a state whether to prevent black people from marrying or Indian people from marrying? To discriminate so blatantly would be against everything we as a nation stand for and would be inconsistent with the rights we allot right now to religious people, gay people, black people. Additionally, assertions that gay marriage could lead to other types of supposed marriage rights are simply offensive. A gay marriage exists between two consenting adults, just like straight unions. You can get married drunk in Las Vegas. You can get married 4 times like Rush Limbaugh. You can get married under almost any circumstances as long as you're straight. But living, working, caring, loving gay people cannot legitimize their relationship, cannot receive equal benefits. In some cases, can't visit one another in the hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, with all enthusiasm in this proposal in plenary, I wish we were the real-life policymakers, because then we could rectify one of the largest problems we have in our nation. Thank you. I know that every time.
45 seconds. To a delegate.
Not New Jersey delegation. Thank you, delegate and Madam Chair.
So I just want to respond to a couple of con arguments. One of the con arguments is that marriage is specifically in the church. My parents are married, and my parents are Hindu. So does that mean my parents are not legally allowed to marry? Because if that is a legitimate con argument, you're now infringing on my family's civil rights. A lot of the cons say that it impugns on the moral sanctity of marriage. So then why is it legal for Kim Kardashian to get married only for 72 hours? Why can Charlie Sheen start a porn star family after having 2 divorces and various kids? In the end, it comes down to civil rights are more important than states' rights. Reason is more important than rhetoric, and people are more important than politics. Thank you. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you. We are now in line for a con speaker. Anyone who hasn't spoken in GA or plenary. Chair recognizes Tennessee in the back. Please make haste, delegate. Your time will begin soon.
Torresiano, Tennessee. Mayor reserves the right to yield the remainder of my time to this.
That is your right.
I just want to start out by saying I'm not against gay marriage. My proposal is actually on repealing DOMA, so that's not why I'm up here. I'm up here because this proposal is unconstitutional. The First Circuit of the U.S. Declared DOMA unconstitutional because it defines marriage. That was why they declared it unconstitutional. This also defines marriage. We're replacing an unconstitutional bill with another one. Also, just on another previous delegate statement, they said that when did civil rights become like a state thing? Civil rights was, race was defined as a protected class under the Constitution, and that's why the national government was able to protect them. So this hasn't really been defined as a civil right unless you're basing it off of proposals passed here. But I'm against this because it replaces a unconstitutional bill with another one. So I yield the remainder of my time to Fitz from Tennessee.
41 seconds.
Will Fitz, Tennessee, the volunteer state. Ladies and gentlemen, 44 states out of 50 states in the United States of America do not allow gay marriage. It is not right for the federal government to amend the constitutions of 44 states. Each state has its own right to choose if they will allow gay marriage. It is not right for the federal government to choose for them. This is not an argument of whether gay marriage is right. It's not even an argument of whether you think your state should adopt gay marriage. It is whether you will force 44 out of 50 states to adopt a philosophy they might not necessarily agree with. For these reasons, I move failure and yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. We are now in line for the final pro speaker. Is there anyone who hasn't spoken in plenary, GA, or through committee? Okay. Chair recognizes that's out of order. Chair recognizes Missouri in the very back.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to yield the remainder of my time to Lisbon from the state of Missouri.
That is your right.
I am Amber Petering, and I am from the state of Missouri. And the first thing I would like to say is it should not matter who you go to bed with at night, who you choose to spend the rest of your life with, as long as you are a God-loving, promising, good American, and you do the right thing, you donate, you volunteer, you pay your taxes, you abide by the law, why should it matter who you go to bed with? That is my question. Why should it matter? If you love someone, if you're a parent, if you're a good family member, if you do the right thing, why should it matter? This proposal is not a bill. It can still be amended. It can be changed until it's perfect. But until then, we should pass it so that it keeps going. Because in the end, it has got the right thing at heart. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time to listen.
Minute 20.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the Honorable Chair, and I'd like to thank the author for introducing this proposal.
Delegate, you are out of order. You did not state your name, delegate. I'm so sorry. We are now in order for a con speaker. Chair recognizes
New Mexico.
Remke from New Mexico. I absolutely love the core idea of this proposal, but it goes about implementing it in the very wrongest way possible. How it should be done is there should be civil unions, which are implemented by the government, and marriage, which is implemented by the church. These things should be separate. They can combine, but they shouldn't need to. A marriage should be a ceremony that happens at the church or whatever respective religion you happen to follow. A civil union should occur in a courthouse, and it should give all of the rights to what currently married couples get today. Thank you, and with that, I yield remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. The author is now recognized for a 5-minute and 30-second summation. You may begin when ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Weaver, Mississippi. First of all, thank you so much for the debate, and thank you so much for everyone who wanted to speak pro and con. You actually paid attention since we've been in here for a while, so I do appreciate that. Just to clear up a few points. Okay. Up until 4 days ago, Anderson Cooper could get married in any state he wanted to, and it would be recognized anywhere. Now, Anderson Cooper is only allowed to get married in 6 states, and if he gets married in Massachusetts to whoever he wants to marry, and if he moves to Mississippi, he is no longer recognized as married, and he no longer gets the federal benefits of marriage. Also, another thing about my state, couples are not allowed to adopt. A single parent or a single person or a married couple are allowed to adopt. Since gay people cannot get married and their marriage is not recognized in my state, they cannot adopt. So all those children that need parents, well, too bad. Also, an argument about the sake of what marriage is for. Marriage is for procreation. My aunt and uncle could not have children. They had to adopt free of their own. Does that mean they shouldn't be allowed to get married? I don't think so. Marriage is actually a legal term. Prop 8 from California, the Ninth Circuit Supreme Court ruled that marriage is a legal term. That's why you get a marriage license. The church does perform marriage ceremonies. Being a Christian, I do hope to one day have a marriage ceremony in a church. Let's see. About the fact that 44 states are not ready for this. If it were up to my state, a whole lot of African American delegates would still be picking cotton. So does that mean it was right then? Goodness no. Another comment, again, my proposal does not deal with age, but even if it did, the comment about this would produce more mentally retarded children. Having a mentally retarded nephew, I see no problem with that at all. And I don't think that they're any less of people, nor do I think homosexuals are any less of people. Heterosexual marriage-divorce rates are currently at 50%. Homosexual marriage-divorce rates at 9%. Clearly, the straight people aren't getting it right either. Okay, this proposal does not define marriage. It actually takes out that definition. It just does not put restrictions. If you have a different race, religion, sexual orientation, which does include homosexuality, and what gender you prefer. The 4 things I specified, you cannot not get married because of those things. Also, the fact that someone brought up African Americans are protected because of the amendment to the Constitution after Jim Crow laws. Okay, just because homosexuals aren't legally, it's not in the Constitution, we defend them, does that mean we should just let them go and not have their rights? No. Let's see. Also, the deal with this thing unconstitutional. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, also known as the Necessary and Proper Clause. And I quote, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the emerging powers and all other powers vested by the Constitution of the Government of the United States or any department office thereof. The benefits you get from marriage, and someone gave me a note, well over 1,100 benefits you get in marriage, most of which are federal benefits. So marriage is a federal thing. You get federal tax deductions and things like that. So if you get married, if 2 homosexuals get married in Massachusetts, then they get those benefits, but if they move to Mississippi, they do not anymore, and that's not fair. Let's see. Goodness. For those of you Hillary Clinton fans, one of my favorite quotes, gay rights are human rights. And then, just to sum this all up, being from the South, especially in my state, we've always been one of the last states to join on with anything slightly progressive, joining in with ending racism and segregation, and I apologize on behalf of that and the fact that I couldn't talk to my dad about my proposal because he's hardcore Fox News, which there's nothing wrong with that, but the fact that he doesn't even accept gay people as people, I think that's awful and terrible, and I apologize on behalf of anyone that's that ignorant and homophobic to not see that they are people too. And with that, I urge you to vote for this proposal because I think anyone should be able to marry whoever they want to, whether if you're underage and need parental consent, or if you want to move to Arkansas so you can marry your brother, that doesn't matter. But I just don't think two people should be denied a marriage because they don't love what society deems as the common norm. And I just think that is ridiculous, and with that I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. The question before this plenary session is whether or not Proposal 401 does pass. Will the Rovers please seal the chambers? All those in favor, please stand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay.